Hi, this is Amy from Good Food Unearthed, and the following I wrote as a sort of response to all of the conflicting opinions about which way to go, which law to follow, and so on. So, I want to start off with a quote from Rilke. I hold this to be the highest task of a bond between two people, that each should stand guard over the solitude of the other. So, this is titled, Which Laws Are Supreme in Your Mind? Many people are grappling with the nature of reality. What is true or not? What does freedom mean? Where does your freedom end and mine begin? Is there really a divide at all? What is government's purpose? What do our laws stand for? What is the matrix that supports our society today? And what are the rules? And what is the linchpin, the best foundation to stand by that will uphold my worldview, my values, my being? People are questioning history, the stories they grew up with, re examining them, and coming across new aspects that are changing the whole picture. People are finding themselves on the defensive and searching for effective means to block the attacks on their freedoms, especially their bodily autonomy. There is so much information, new stories forming, new avenues of self defense, new aspects to once familiar avenues. We're, we are turning to look at the structures we assumed held everything together and realizing that the structures are illusory. So, where does one go from here? Where do we go as humanity from here? First, I would ask you as an individual to ask yourself this question: which laws are supreme in your mind? And I want to set up some definitions of terms and examine them as well. Laws are defined as rules of conduct or procedure established by custom, agreement, or authority. Which basis do you abide by? Obeying rules set forth by an authority or rules set forth in mutual agreement between yourself and another? Or rules set forth by a traditional practice or usual way of doing something followed by a social group or people? Supreme is defined as the ultimate, final, greatest in power, authority, or rank, paramount or dominant, greatest in importance, degree, significance, character, or achievement. What qualifies as supreme for you? Or do you not believe in anything being superior or inferior because one can only exist with the other? Maybe there is no superior or inferior, but there's simply differences. Do you believe some things are greater than others, or just different expressions of one consciousness? Mind is defined as the center of mental activity, that which reasons, thinks, feels, wills, perceives. It's your intellect or understanding. And intellect is defined as the ability to learn and reason. When we get to mind and the definitions surrounding this in the English language, there are many circular definitions that leave something to be desired. To reason means the power to think rationally and logically and to draw inferences. Rational is defined as being consistent with or based on reason or good judgment, logical or sensible. Logical is defined as being based on earlier or otherwise known statements, events, or conditions. And inference is the act or process of deriving logical conclusions from premises known or assumed to be true. So we see a repeat of words in the definitions that are included in the definitions of other words. And as a rule, to find a good definition of a word, you can't have that other word in there. So there's an interesting breakdown of those definitions for reason and rational, logical, and inference. But what's interesting is logical is defined as being based on earlier or otherwise known statements, events, or conditions. So your previous collected data. And your inference is the act or process of deriving logical conclusions, so conclusions based on previous bits of data from premises that are known or assumed to be true. And that goes into your reasoning and your belief, your worldview. What makes the question, which laws are supreme in your mind, so important is that this question is really asking you as an individual what you believe in. What is your conscience? Why is this important? Only you are living your life. Yes, we are all interconnected in an extremely intricate way that no one can pin down precisely, but only you are you. You are, as David Icke has often said, a unique expression of consciousness, of all that is, was, and ever will be. We all are. That is our common ground. This statement alone recognizes that we are all one, but we are all unique expressions. And that diversity is a key characteristic of the one. You are vital for the one to be as it is. Discovering yourself and expressing your authentic self is all that really matters. Simply being as you are playing many roles already in the dance of life. Just as your human body and everything that composes it plays multiple functions simply by existing. You take one thing and change it, and it's never the same. What is belief? It has been defined as an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. It has been defined as trust, faith, or confidence in someone or something. So let's take that definition apart. Acceptance means that you chose with your free will to incorporate, that means embody this idea. It can be a statement that you hear, and from what you interpret from that statement, you concur with its validity. However, that statement in and of itself has no inherent meaning or existence. And I will refer you to see my previous video on why your voice matters to understand the language communication aspect. Trust, faith, or confidence in someone or something is another fallacy. What you are trusting, have faith or confidence in, is not confined to any form as a person, word, building, document, whatever. It is what you have perceived upon interacting with that form, whatever it was. It is the essence, the imprint that is formless, which mirrors to you an aspect of your own truth, your present state of being, your worldview. Conscience is defined as an inner feeling or voice viewed as acting as a guide to the rightness or wrongness of one's behavior. Con means with, and it's paired with science. Science is defined as the observation, identification, description, experimental investigation, and theoretical explanation of phenomena. So your conscience is you with science, that tool, the exploring and experimenting in your experience and existence. This is what you're doing just by living. You do this without even being conscious of it. Your conscience is you with science being guided by the feedback you perceive and acting upon that feedback, which is highly personal. What this all draws us to is the essential importance and common grounding of our universally recognized human rights and freedoms. No matter what societal rules or laws come into being, no matter where you are, who you coexist with, how you've decided to play out your experience in the here and now, you are always you, a sovereign individual with your own conscience and beliefs, and no forms can pin them down, though you may try to make it so or wish it were true. The greatest documents ever written in our history, if that history can be believed, are those that remind us of our variability and how all of existence, no matter how we perceive it, must be respected. We have written that respect for the inherent rights and dignity of the entire human family is the foundation of a society that is free, just, and peaceful. We have written that without respect for these inherent rights and dignities, we have committed in the past the most barbarous, heinous, regrettable acts. In reality, the stories can change and the plots can twist in ever more conniving or clever ways. But they are stories. You could call it history, you can call it nonfiction, you can call it what you like. And stories, once accepted and acted upon, can bring us to our present moment. But they do not define the present. Nothing does. Stories can make certain futures more or less probable, but not with 100% certainty. Stories, our human stories, our ways of explaining and examining our lives, are only some of the many, many, many variables at play in our reality. We are by no means the sole manifestors of our reality. The people who set themselves up in hierarchical positions to be perceived by others through mutual consensus as powerful beings, the ones who know all of this, know how to keep you spinning your wheels in their version of the game. They know that the forms, such as the words, numbers, documents, institutions, titles, costumes, etc., hold no inherent meaning or existence whatsoever. No ideology, no label, no category, no personality, no designation has any inherent meaning or existence. They all arise dependent upon many, many, many variables, and they are in constant flux. These people can take advantage of anyone who assumes that this is not so. Of anyone who assumes that, for example, someone wearing a doctor's coat means that that person is well educated, and that means that they are knowledgeable, and that implies that they are wise, and that implies that they can be trusted, and so on and so on. Assumption after assumption after assumption. They can also take advantage of this in another way. If you try to find the linchpin that will prove success, that which you can hold on to and believe that they are also bound by this, you will discover that this is just another part of their game as well. They will get you chasing after facts and definitions and laws and case studies and have you saying, this is it, this alone, only to have them obfuscate and wriggle out of any snare or trap, pulling the rug out from under you once again. Does this mean that there is no way to stand up for your freedom, to claim your sovereignty, to take action? No. But it's important to understand that no thing will be a magic bullet all on its own. What makes anything work is what you put into it, and ultimately how we collectively agree to see it. What matters is not so much the form, but we can tap into the collective consciousness to perceive what forms may help us in communicating and connecting with others. It is the transmission of the essence that matters. Know that all forms can be corrupted. And this is how corruption works and how it can hide in plain sight and get away with so much damage. When we just see the form and assume that it holds the essence, we put on a blindfold. If we knew a genuinely kind, compassionate priest or pastor growing up, and then assumed that all priests and pastors must be kind and compassionate or aiming to be so, we have stopped then being present. We have stopped paying attention. And that is when we get fooled. All forms are mutable, they're not fixed. They are forever composing and decomposing, arising and descending. Know this, and you can see whenever a form has been compromised and no longer holds the essence it once held. And know that you are not bound by certain forms to convey an essence. The best way to know what forms to use is for you, as a unique expression of consciousness, to tap into your conscience and let it guide you. Our universally recognized, inherent, inalienable rights and freedom and dignity are stated as commonly understood as inalienable fundamental rights to which a person is inherently entitled because she or he is a human being, and which are inherent in all human beings, regardless of their age, ethnic origin, location, language, religion, ethnicity, or any other status. No distinction. They are applicable everywhere and at every time in the sense of being universal. And they are egalitarian in the sense of being the same for everyone. And that you can find, anyone can find from Wikipedia, which I know is not a reliable resource, but you'll get most people looking at this definition. Think about what you believe it means to be human. What is dignity? What is freedom? And ask others what they believe. We have, as a global community, expressed that freedom of religion and freedom of conscience as fundamental inherent rights that should be respected for all of humanity without distinction. Religion is simply the practice of one's own beliefs. Our beliefs stem from our own unique life experiences. Our conscience also stems from the same. It is unique. Our belief is that acceptance that something is true or exists. And this goes back to the definitions surrounding mind. To be reasonable, to reason, involves making inferences based on our own individual collection of previous bits of data and our theories surrounding those bits of data. If no one single living being can have the exact same experience as another, then it would be imperative that individual freedom of religion, your practice of your beliefs, and conscience, which is your distinction about what to do and what not to do based on the feedback you're getting from your interaction with life, these must be respected. And the other essential question is, when it comes to laws, what is it anyone can really control? A law can be said to be an attempt to control others. Yet, if everyone perceives life uniquely, then they would also perceive a law uniquely as well. And this is not as wacky and, unmanageable as you might think. We're working in a realm of probabilities. And if you think about this, you'll see the complex interaction that comes into play that makes some things more or less probable and the ranges that they can be flexible in. So, if this is the case, that none of us perceive one thing exactly the same, then what laws are truly binding? Only those you accept as true or existing, which is your belief. A belief is to accept that something is true or existing. So our laws are tied intricately in with our beliefs and our consciences. Etienne de la Boétie wrote The Politics of Obedience. He said, "Resolve to serve no more, and you are at once freed." As they well know, they have no power over anyone or anything. That type of control is illusory. Their game only works as long as others consent to playing. Their rules only have strength as long as you believe in them, accepting they have qualities that are inherently true. But the wording of the laws and the people wearing the enforcement uniforms and the individuals who state the laws are not fixed. They are part of a reality that is in constant flux. And each and every moment, the appearance of reality as we perceive it depends on our beliefs and actions based upon those beliefs. Nature does not try to be fixed, and it always shows us how this reality functions if we pay attention to it. Pay attention of our own accord without the thoughts and words from others crowding out our genuine perception. We are also nature. So, this truth is embedded within everything, even those who appear to be acting against nature, trying to control. How can one best be free? Know that you already are and always were. And once you know this, the game changes completely. Remember that you are sovereign. You owe no allegiance to anyone or anything. No one rules over you. You are of the earth and all else seen and unseen, owned by no one. You are responsible only for yourself and no one else, simply because, as the word itself makes clear, only you can respond, are able to, responsible. Only you can respond for yourself. No one else can do that. Choose to act in alignment with yourself alone. And I know for some people, this will sound like it's selfish and misses the boat. But I would ask you to sit with this and understand that that separation between self and other, that's not really there. and know that you, as a unique expression of all that is, are also the same as all that is, in that you are a unique amalgamation, a constantly shifting combination of multiple variables, never exactly the same from one moment to the next. You are not subject to the whims of another. You are free simply because you are. Try to define yourself, to pin yourself down, to put yourself into a box or label or category, and you will find that you cannot. Go ahead, give it a try. I say, whatever path you find to grow and come into your own, go for it. Whatever appears to you as the best way to act, do it. If that is the way it appears to you, then you may be seeing a way no one else can see. And it may be the best action that you yourself can take. You don't need to have everybody on board, because that's appearing to you. It's calling to you. The question I asked was, which laws are supreme in your mind? Tell me your answers, and I can promise you, I can find the commonality in all of them. At the essential heart of ourselves, we all genuinely desire to live free. We seek different ways to do this. Some don't work out so well, but sometimes the most difficult events in a person's life could be exactly what they needed to grow and evolve. Who am I to judge? I refuse to stand in as judge, jury, and executioner in anyone else's life. No, thank you. You are your own best judge, jury, and executioner. This is never going to be a 100% settled discussion, nor should it be. Not in a reality that's dynamic, in constant flux. But perhaps what this article and this video can contribute to is keeping the space open, drawing attention to that space, which allows for all of us to learn and grow and evolve in our own ways with mutual respect. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You and I are not separate ultimately, and therefore I respect you. And to respect you, I have to respect me. To care for me, I care for you. And you'll notice that when you actually look after yourself, that changes everything around you. They go hand in hand. So, from that basis, from that foundation, we hold that space. And I'll end with that quote from Rilke. I hold this to be the highest task of a bond between two people, that each should stand guard over the solitude of the other. Thank you.